Every bit about Steve Jobs.
Guys.
Who's disputing
I have to referee this panel.
Are these a bunch of straw people?
But I disagree that a billionaire is less of American.
Wait just a minute. Healthcare. We're talking about healthcare. Right now, a lot of people that are on Medicare, and it's a government-run program. Do you know how many doctors that I have gone to that will not take Medicare? And this is a government-run program. What do you do about this?
What if they don't take your HMO?
Yeah,
that's also private.
Yeah,
go someplace else.
Yeah, but if you go someplace else, but Medicare, you're stuck. And if you and your supplement insurance does not pick up with whatever Medicare doesn't do.
Doctors have every right not to take Medicare.
How elderly going to be paid?
It shows the market is working.
Yeah, but how does but how do Medicare people? Where do they get insurance? They won't. It's only from Medicare. Older people only get it from Medicare.
They'll have to provide a provider that does it more cheaply or more economically.
But what if you can't? What if you can't find a provider?
Okay, so the challenge.
But that's not been demonstrated right now.
But it's starting.
You're talking about the boutique fees on the North Shore here.
Yeah, they have the boutique fees,
which is very, very popular and what have you.
Absolutely.
Well, the people that can't come up or don't want to pay that boutique fee will find health care in another way. They'll go to Wheeling or Mount Prospect or what have you and stay off of
what about the Massachusetts
We're bouncing around, talking around this issue of socialism, okay?
Right, but
what it really means is, will there be a more active government or a less active government? I think that we have come from the period of a less active government. Now, regardless of whose fault it is, and I agree that it's not just all in Bush's corner. There were Democrats that were starting some of this beforehand. But we've gone from this irrational optimism and let the market run to a point now where we can't rubber band and just say, hey, government's going to rule everything and socialism pops in. But we need to have a more active government. Government plays a role. It's important to our lives.
Of course government plays the role.
I
want us to be a little bit careful.
More of a role.
Wait. I think that, I don't want the rich to be taxed more. I'd rather that nobody be taxed more. I think that the billionaire like Steve Jobs, well, he's almost, who created Apple, is every bit as much as American as anyone else. We reward success, as President Obama has said.
Amen.
I think, though, the rhetoric that Obama is just trying to tax the rich, he's being Robin Hood is creating the same class warfare that the people claim that they're upset with. By saying those things, so I don't like that rhetoric.
Right.
I think that there is a little bit of a tendency sometimes, and we need to be careful not to excessively tax the rich, but we need to work it out. We do have certain deficits, but like I said, when you have a massive deleveraging, you need the government to step up a little bit. It's actually not totally about the government taking more of a role as fixing a broken credit system so that we don't lead to deflationary cycle.
A lot of this is communications.
Jeff, I want to ask you something. You came up with an idea because we only have not too many.
I'm not the first one to say it.
But you came up with something over a year ago. I remember you came up. You were in the round table actually and talked about it. And now they're talking about bankruptcy lawyers dealing with the mortgage cases. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, what I was talking about, what the House has passed is allowing bankruptcy judges in Chapter 13 cases to modify mortgages on residences. They can now modify mortgages on vacation homes, but not on your primary residence. I think this would accomplish a couple things. One, it would get allow more people to stay in their homes. Two, it would, I think, force the banks to renegotiate to avoid bankruptcies. So you would see an increase in that. You would also see, I believe, banks actually able to get some bad assets off their books and be able to lend out money again.
Well,
so I think it would work on all fronts.
Will nationalization of some U.S. banks be necessary, and do they have the authority to nationalize?
They have the authority, whether it's necessary or not. I'm not a banking expert. I have no idea.
I think it's certainly possible. I think that the Obama administration wants to allow as many market forces to continue. I'm not sure if they're quite as pro-market as the Clinton administration because they're trying to take a new path. Mistakes clearly were made by the private sector and public sector. I don't know how anyone could disagree with the president on that. But they don't want nationalization because they're afraid of the panic, the precedent it would set, and that would fall completely under the lap of the government. And
my experience is that lenders, mortgage lenders, will do everything they can to accommodate a a mortgagor.
To
That's
stay in
not
their home,
true.
To stay in their home.
Well, based on my personal experience.
Based on my experience, that's not true.
Well, okay, and I'm going to give you the rationale why they do that.
I agree with the rationale before you give it.
But maybe it's
They get resold and they get
No.
securitized
something-
nowadays.
small
Those are
banks-
the
If
authorities.
I
Small
could,
banks
if I
will
could finish
do
the
it.
Not
argument.
if they
Go
sell
ahead.
If I
mortgage.
could, if
We're
I
done.
could please
Finish.
finish the argument. The lender does not want the borrower in bankruptcy because it screws up his access to the property. And so a very poor or an almost broke borrower will say, look, if you don't cut me a good deal, I'm going to go bankrupt. The mortgagee, the lender, will do about anything in his power to avoid that bankruptcy in order to make a good deal that the borrower can live with. So the lender will then take less, reduce the interest rates, maybe even write down principal, spread out the amortization schedule that can meet with these minimum earning abilities of the borrowers, and they'll tend to work it out that way on a private basis. So I
That's
submit.
true,
But
but
is
nowadays they're failing. They're not
Yeah.
really able. Wait,
Yeah.
they're not
I know
able to
that.
do that anymore
Maybe there's a
because
lack
of securitization.
What about, is there a lack of
Because the
equity?
lender is not
Is there a lack of
known.
equity
No.
in the
What
banks?
happens is
No?
they bundle these mortgages
Yeah. Right.
into securities, and so
Right.
you get at the crux of the problem. That's the way it should work, and it hasn't been working because they've been so. In complicated ways, nobody understands securitized. And then the people who own these securities, which are basically bundles and tranches of hundreds of mortgages, they don't want to deal with this and they refuse to. So the mortgage, people who service mortgage can't do
Our
what
banks-
they're
By
trying
the
to
way,
do.
our
Jeff,
banks-
is this
our
how it
banks-
worked? Is this how you saw it working?
Yeah.
No, they would not. They would not work.
Okay.
Now, most of my clients were
We got
lower.
We have to
lower
wrap up,
class.
so we have to say the last
Okay.
words. We got our last words to
Okay,
say.
but what I was going to say, that's not how I saw it work. That for the most part, the institutions were not willing to work with my clients outside of bankruptcy. That's one reason that we use Chapter 13 as a means to help people save in their home. Not everyone was able to save their home, but enough were that it was worth doing. But I think
But-
that by I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have to stop. I can't
We
believe
never got to the woman with the 8 kids.
I know. We have so much to say right now, and it's getting. We're not going
to solve the
we're not gonna
country's
solve-
economic
yes.
problems today,
We're not going to solve
but
the
stay
Another
tuned for
10
next
minutes
month.
we would have.
today.
Yeah.
So we're going to be wrapping up. So I'm going to be wrapping up right now. So I got 1 minute, and I want to thank my guests right now. I want to thank Ron Mantegna.
Thank you,
Thank
Suzanne.
you. And I want to thank John Cartland. I want to thank Michael Szanto and Jeff Kohan.
Thank you.
And I want to thank all of you very much for being with me today. I hope we solved, I hope Obama, our president, was listening, because I think if he takes
Michael,
listening to all of this, I think he could really solve our economic, our banking problems. And thank you very much.
Okay, that's it.
I
Is that
didn't,
all right?
you know what?